Hello and welcome to Virtual Learning Network. This e-lecture is on Computer Basics and PC Software, Block 2, Unit 3, Introduction to Concept in Programming Language. The topics we are going to cover are Introduction, Problem, Algorithm, Program and Programming Language. Elements of programming language: variables, constants, data type, array and expression. Conditional and looping statement, subroutine and function, editor, assembler, interpreter and compiler. Last one is summary. Let's start with introduction. A programming language is used to design and describe a set of instructions and computations to be executed by a computer. To do programming, one should have knowledge of a particular programming language. Algorithm to solve the problem. An algorithm is finite number of steps which perform some computations on the input and produce the desired output in a finite amount of time. Problem algorithm. A problem is to carry out a particular task. For solving the problem, some input has to be given to the system. The system will process or manipulate the input and produce the desired output. An algorithm describes the steps required to solve a problem. Once an algorithm is obtained for solving a problem has to be written which a computer can execute so as to accomplish the given task, thereby solving the problem at hand. The program can be in any suitable programming language and is not dependent on the algorithm in any way. Algorithm. Once a problem has been defined precisely, a procedure or process must be designed to produce the required output from the given input. Since a computer is a machine that does not possess problem-solving judgment capabilities, this procedure must be designed as a sequence of simple and unambiguous steps. Such a procedure is known as an algorithm. Programs and programming language. Programs. Programs to implement algorithms on the computer must be written in a language that the computer can understand. It is fruitful, therefore, to describe algorithms in a language that resembles the language used to write computer programs. Programming language. The process of writing a program is called programming. Programming language has some basic building blocks called the primitive building blocks. These blocks are defined by basic components that have an associate syntax and semantics. These blocks are defined by basic components that have an associate syntax and semantics. Syntax provides structure and semantic provides meaning to it. Elements of programming language. Programming language requires understanding of concepts such as representation of different types of data in the computer, the various methods of expressing mathematical and logical relationships among data elements, and the method for controlling the sequence in which operations can be executed for inputting the data, processing it and generating the output data. In elements of programming language, first one is variable. A variable is a symbolic name given to a memory location. Once a variable is assigned to a memory location, the programmer can refer to that location by the variable name instead of its address. Variable is the connection between a name and a value. It is composed of a name, attribute, reference, and a value. Attribute means the type of value a variable can hold. Next one is constant. In contrast to a variable which is used as identifier for a value and which can change, constants and identifiers that are used for values which cannot be changed. In other words, constants are symbols used to refer to quantities which do not change throughout the life of a program. No assignment can be done to a constant. Data type. Anything that is processed by a computer is called data. There are different types of data that can be given to the computer for processing. A data type is a classification identifying the type of data. It determines the possible values for that data, operations that can be performed on values of that type, the way values of that type can be stored in memory. In each programming language, there are some primitive data type. Array. In programming, when large amount of related data needs to be processed and each data element is stored with different variable name, it becomes very difficult to manage and manipulate. To deal with such situations, the concept of array is used. An array is a set of elements of same data type that can be individually referenced by an index. Usually, these are placed in contiguous memory locations. Generally, two types of arrays are used. That is, one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array. So first one is one-dimensional array. A one-dimensional array is a structured collection of elements that can be accessed individually by specifying the position of a component with index subscript value. Therefore, in order to declare an array named as marks that will store marks for 5 students, representation are given below. Two-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array is like a table with a defined number of rows, where each row has a defined number of columns. In some instances, we need to have such an array of arrays. It will have two dimensions and data is represented in the form of row and column. Representation are given below. Next is expressions. An expression is a combination of variables, constants and operations written according to the syntax of the programming language. In the C programming language, every expression evaluates to a value. Every expression results in some value of a certain type that can be assigned to a variable. Every computer language specifies how operators are evolved in a given expression. An expression may contain arithmetic operator, relational operator, or logical operator. Assignment. It is composed of variable name and assignment operator of the language and a value or variable or some expressions as per composition allowed based on rules defined in grammar. Example, temp is equals to file. Temp is equals to temp plus 1. This means to add a 1 to the current value of the variable temp. Arithmetic. These types of expressions consist of operators, operands or some expression. The following is the list of arithmetic operator. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulo, increment by 1, decrement by 1. Logical, relational and equality. These type of expression result in a Boolean representation. Each expression will result in either true or false. It is composed of operands and relational or logical or equality operator. The following is the list of operators in the C programming language. Conditional and looping statement. Conditional statement. In if statement is composed of three parts. The first part should be keyword language to converts to the computer that it is if statement and a boolean expression. The second and third parts can be statement or group of statement as defined in rules of grammar of language. Generally, an if statement is evolved and executed in the following sequence. First, it evolves the Boolean expression. If the expression is true, the statements in the second part are executed. Otherwise, if it is false, the statement in the third part are executed. The third part is optional if it is absent and the expression is false, then the program control simply move on to the next statement in the sequence. This is a syntax of if statement. Now next one is looping statement. The purpose of a looping structure is to repeat certain tasks until some condition is satisfied. Several variations of a loop structure are available in each programming language to handle different situations. A program loop consists of two segments, one in the body of the loop and the other is the control statement. The control statement tests certain conditions and then directs the repeated execution of the statement contained in the body of the loop. The test may be either to determine whether the loop has repeated the specified number of times or to determine whether the particular condition has been met. Thus, a loop consists of initial condition, execution of set of statements inside the loop, test the condition, again execute the statements if the condition is met, else go to the next statement in the sequence. Next one is subroutine and functions. In a program, it is often necessary to repeat a statement or group of statements at several points to accomplish a particular task. Repeating the same statement in a program each time makes a program lengthy and reduces readability. These problems could be stored out if the necessary statements could be written once and then referred to each time they are needed. This is the purpose of subprogram. Basically, there are two types of subprograms called functions and subroutines. Subroutine. A subroutine is a type of a subprogram, a piece of code within a large program that performs a specific task and is relatively independent of the remaining code. A subroutine has no value associated with its name. All outputs are defined in terms of arguments. There may be any type of outputs. Next one is function. The purpose of a function is to take in a number of values or arguments, do some calculations with those arguments and then return a single result. Each language has different rules to define a function. Functions can be controlled from the main program or from anywhere else, even from within itself. Program control will transfer to function definition statement as soon they are called and then return back to the next statement immediately after the calling point. Library functions. These are the functions supplied with the programming language. The code or definition of library functions does not have to be written in a user program while writing it. Coding or definition of these functions are defined in header or library files, which are required to be included in program. Some example hash include stdio.h, printf, scanf, etc. are functions defined in stdio.h header file. Similarly, every programming language has a set of library or header files. Editor. To write a program in any of the following languages requires an editor. While saving the program, file's name and extension as per programming language is required to be given. Example, in C programming, filename.c is written, in C++ filename.cpp, or in Java filename.java. There are different types of editors. Some of the programming languages have some specific built-in editors. Interpreter. An interpreter is a program that translates each statement in the programming language into machine code and runs it. Such an arrangement means that to run the program, one must always have the interpreter available. Example, Basic, Prolog are languages that are typically interpreted. Programs in any language can be interpreted or compiled. So there are basic compiler available as well. Compiled code runs faster and does not need the compiler at runtime. Whereas interpreted code is slower and needs the interpreter every time the program has to be run. Now it's time for summary. This unit helps in understanding the requirement of programming languages. Broad classification of programming languages is discussed. Any programming language allows one to translate an algorithm to a computer program for solving the given problem. Basic constructs of programming languages are described, which include description of syntax and semantics. Various control structure for any programming language like conditional statements, arrays, loops and subroutine are discussed, and editors too. Thank you for this session.